Hey, what's going on, guys? Juan Cristales here. I'm a real estate investor turned builder. And the reason why I turned into a builder is because I was having such a hard time with the fix and flips and the rentals and all that stuff. Right now, what I'm looking to do is teach other people how to start in new construction. And what we're building specifically is we're going all in on building duplexes. So, one of the first steps in doing that is finding vacant lots. So, we're going to be talking about that today. Let's get into it. So finding vacant lots and sellers. Number one rule of marketing is that it has to be consistent. Man, the reason why we all know the jingles to all the stuff that's out there is because it's consistently in front of us. The Geico Gecko is always in your face, so you know that that's an insurance commercial. They beat that drum so hard over and over again, and you have to be the same way when you're trying to reach your seller. So whatever method of marketing you choose, go all in for a long period of time, 6 months at a bare minimum. Moving on, it's not about who you are, it's about what problem you can solve. I think that a lot of times people that are starting out, they think they have to have some sort of a name brand recognition. I'm with whatever company, I'm with this, I have an LLC. You don't need any of that stuff. If you can understand that whenever you're talking to people about their situation that they might be in, offer the solution as a higher priority item versus trying to establish your credibility. Second thing, rule number two, find out all the nitty gritty details up front about this particular problem, this particular piece of property. Otherwise, you risk wasting time. So some of the things that you have to find out up front are going to be who are all the owners and the decision makers. Listen, man, we just busted out on a deal recently. We didn't know all the information up front. And because we had a lot of conflicting information, we just bailed out on the deal. It was getting too complicated, it's getting too messy. So you have to understand what the structure is of this particular deal, whether it's buying a land, who are all the owners, who's all involved, who is it, brothers, sisters, married couples, whatever the case is, you got to find that information out. So one of the things here that's important to find out is any delinquent taxes on properties, because here in the state of Texas, after a certain amount of time, the taxes become such a burden that the seller is no longer able to pay it off. It just becomes an overwhelming problem. So let me show you here. We got on this thing that I want to just show you guys. So let's talk here real quick. We have property taxes, okay? So very little motivation to sell when people have the property taxes current, right? After about 1 year due, the small balance, it's not that big of a deal. They're moderate to high motivation to sell, but when in a piece of property, taxes are really like $300, $250 here in Texas, especially a small piece of property. After 2, 3 years, it starts to build up. So typically, the tipping point is somewhere around year number 7 for some weird reason, 6 or 7, because around 6 or 7, the city's like, you know what, we're going to sell this piece of property at the auction. What you want to do is catch that property before it goes to the auction. That's the goal, is to try to find these sellers before you go to the auction. You can go onto the website, log in, and basically make yourself an account as an interested buyer, and they're going to email you the properties that are going to the foreclosure market. And then you just have to get creative about getting a hold of those people before it goes to the auction. That way you have the first dibs on trying to buy it. And look, there's going to be other people out there trying to buy these properties as well. So understand that you have to move quickly, and you have to be very creative, and you have to know your information. How much are you willing to pay? How are you going to finance that transaction? So moving on. Rule number three is you've got to build relationships. One of the things that I went in hard when I first started real estate investing was building relationships. That meant nurturing the relationships, and it does take time. The second thing that I have here, someone you know will sell to you before they sell to me. And that's just a relationship thing. Okay. Now, if you really understand that there's a bond or a relationship that's been created with someone, and they're more willing to sell to you because they know you, they like and trust you. And so they would be willing to sell to you before they would be willing to sell to me. And that's the type of relationship you want to have. So I went to ChatGPT and I typed in a quick prompt. And I want to share this prompt with you because it's so simple. And, before ChatGPT was even there, we were trying to get creative about how to find people that come into contact with motivated sellers. So, real simple, here's the prompt that I used. I said, hey, ChatGPT, I need help coming up with a list of people who might come in contact with other people who would need to sell their property. Oftentimes, they go to them because they can confide financial troubles, divorces, job loss, or embarrassing things. I'm simply looking to offer these people a potential solution to their problem. Okay, so ChatGPT says, okay, look, you're looking to find people that are connectors, trusted professionals, community members who often hear about life events before a property hits the market. Here's a categorized list of those types of people. This is actually really cool because it came up with a bunch of stuff. So it's talking about financial and legal professionals. So look, attorneys is a big one. We used to go to any kind of attorney, bankruptcy attorneys. But see, the thing is that you have to build a relationship with that attorney because that attorney is not going to just willy nilly recommend you. You have to establish yourself as a trustworthy individual that can confide with people's issues. Okay, so people are not super like, hey, I'm getting a divorce or going through bankruptcy or whatever, super embarrassing type things, right? And so they don't want that information out there. So you have to be very careful about this stuff. CPAs, tax preparers, financial advisors, estate planners. Let's see, private money lenders. Man, this is hilarious because this is for real. I, at one point in my time, I was trying to come up with more deals. All right, guys, I got Judah here. He wants to help me out. So, at one point in my career, I was trying to get more creative about getting more deals, and guess who I started calling? My own private lenders, and people that had already lent to me. They knew I was a
Yeah,
good.
the people went to there.
That's right. They knew.
And that knew that, and he did it like that knew.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, so these private lenders knew that I had been doing business with them for many, many years. They knew that wasn't a big deal, but I reached out to them. I said, "Hey, I know it's super embarrassing, but are you involved in a deal right now where you're going to have to potentially foreclose? Let me take a look at it. Maybe I can just buy it off of you, and then maybe we can just come up with some sort of a solution." Believe it or not, some of these hard money lenders and private money lenders, it's embarrassing for them to have to deal with that stuff. But if you can provide them a solution, they could potentially sell you the property. That's just another thing that we were trying to do to get more and more leads. Health and social support, hospice workers, elder care facilities, social workers, home health nurses, adult protective service staff. Those are real good ones. If you have someone in your family that knows, they go to visit these people, and sometimes they may be able to put you in communication with them. Real estate adjacent professionals. This is actually really good. Not necessarily real estate agents, but people that are adjacent to that. So we would reach out to property managers. Hey man, is there any property that's been really, I mean, there's some in your local area that you probably know that are having to deal with evictions. They know which landlords are dealing with a lot of problems, a lot of, maintenance issues, that kind of stuff. General contractors, believe it or not, I have bought properties from general contractors and handymen. They've called me. I was like, man, this guy is struggling. He's not going to be able to make it. He still owes me money, whatever the case is. It's kind of embarrassing, right? Let's see, real estate attorneys. Title companies. I have definitely gotten deals and closed and made money on deals from title companies' recommendations. Code enforcement officers. Right now, as a matter of fact, we have a deal under contract because the code enforcement has been dealing and battling with this particular seller or this particular owner for the better part of like 6 months. They gave him actually a year. They gave him 6 months to get all his stuff fixed, and the place is still a complete disaster because he's inside the city limits. He's breaking the codes, and so they're just done with him, and they're like, please, someone, please buy the property. As a matter of fact, they even brought me into the office with the city manager to kind of talk over that stuff. Public service workers, life transition service providers, moving companies. I mean, there's a lot of funeral directors. Man, this is another big one that we've used in the past too. I've gone out to funeral directors and asked them, hey, what's going on? What happens when someone is about to, or shows up with a loved one that has recently passed away and they don't have the financial means to be able to bury them? And the lady's like, you know what? Funny that you should ask because I've taken land in exchange for funeral services. I'm like, so how's that working out for you? And she's like, I don't want any more land. I have to pay taxes on it. It doesn't do me any good to own this land. Like it's not income producing property. I said, well, let me be your guy. Either you sell it to me or I can come in and buy directly from the seller. That way you can get paid for your services as a funeral director. The seller gets to, basically bury their loved one the way they want to, and I get another project. So there's a lot of stuff there. Clergy, pastors, I've definitely gotten, people from the clergy to give me referrals and stuff like that. Let's see, community connectors, hairstylists, bartenders, local mail carriers, HOA presidents for sure, man. I have definitely gotten leads. I'm not sure if we've actually ever closed on one, but from a homeowners association, they're inside the situation with like, hey, they need to cut their grass, they need to, fix whatever stuff they got going on. And man, I'm telling you that they are good people to know and give you potential leads on where you can find, you know, land that might need something. I know that specifically for lots, though, we're talking about lots here. We don't want lots inside of HOAs because typically HOAs will not let you do a duplex on an HOA. But if you want to buy a lot in an HOA area and just build a single family home, you can also do the same thing and you'll be able to potentially get some leads that way. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.